All right, so we'll go through the lights real quick. So, if you're gonna be driving at night or when it's approaching dusk, you're gonna want to have the lights on. So, a couple of things over here, Ian. If you'll point the camera this way. So, this switch right here, nav, that turns on the lights. It turns on the lights at the bow right there. And then also that activates the lights for the stern as well as the gauges you'll see here. And I'll show you how to do the stern light in a second. There's also court lights. If you hit that, that turns on your mood lighting that's throughout the cabin. Okay. Now we will let's go to the stern so that we can do the stern light, which we're keeping the engine bay open because that's where it's located. So you're going to want to get in here. It's this big rod that's right here. You just pull this off like that, and then pull this out. And this has on the bottom, it has a screw right here. You want to be aware of where that is, because when you put it in here, there is a notch for that screw right there. So you got to fit that in there, and it clicks into place. And then if I turn the light on, it lights up.
So again, this will probably only be needed if you girls think about taking an evening stroll in the boat. Otherwise, you won't have to worry about lights at all.
There we go.
All right. Okay, let's finish up talking about the rest of the electronics in the boat. One thing that we'll talk about now is the propeller trim. So the trim adjusts the angle of the propeller as to how far it sticks out of the water and how far it's in the water. If you're towing someone and just for general cruising, you're going to want the trim to be all the way down. So if we turn this to accessory, you'll see this gauge right here for trim. It's currently all the way down. That's how you want to leave it. If for whatever reason you had to take the boat out of the water, or if you were approaching some very shallow areas of the lake, which you shouldn't do anyway, but if you do, this is how you adjust the trim. You go over to here, and this button right here controls trim. So if you push up on this, you will see that gauge bring the trim up, and then again down. And that button is located right here on the transmission column. Other thing you'll have to do before you start the boat is, if you are not going to already open the engine compartment, which we showed you earlier, before you start it, you're going to want to make sure that all kinds of exhaust gases that are within the engine are released. And the way you do that is by running the blower. So down here by the key, you'll see blower. You just hit that, and you can probably hear what's going on. And it activates actually a pump that will use these vents to expel any kind of exhaust gases within the engine bay, so that when you start it, there's no explosion in the engine. So make sure to do that. All right, this brings us to our next point. This annoying depth finder, I just kind of hit random buttons till it stops. So if you're in shallow water, it'll beep incessantly and you'll want to pull your hair out. I just hit menu until it shuts up. So with the blower, you usually want to let that run for, what does it say here? Operate blower for 4 minutes. Run blower below cruising speed. So if you're just getting ready to go out, it's a good thing to just hit the blower first, let that run for 4 minutes, and then you're set to go. Just turn that off. And finally, if it rains, there's a chance, or if you're just out cruising around, there's a chance that water might get in the bottom of the boat. What you'll do here to get rid of that excess water is to go over here to the bilge pump. You'll hit that, and what that does is it pumps water out of that hole right there. So if there's any kind of excess water in the engine bay, that pump will get rid of all the water. So turn it off when there's no more water coming out. But again, you might not need to do that in the first place.
Okay, so the next thing is going to be lowering the boat. So we have this wonderful apparatus here that's going to help us to do it a lot faster. So you'll see that there's a switch right here that goes up and down. And really what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use two hands. You're going to want to press against this motor right here so that the pulley is right up against the wheel here. And if you do that and then press this switch down, then it's going to start bringing it down. And it does it pretty quickly.
Yeah, you really only need about 20 seconds to hold this pump down.
Yeah. You keep doing it until the boat starts floating. Which I believe it is now floating.
So now you can see as Brett pulls on the boat, it can easily move around underneath this canopy, which means the lift is not touching the bottom of the boat. So when the boat is like this, you're ready to go.